The Black Sea was a sheet of dark, polished glass just before dawn on a cold, unforgiving morning. The Russian corvette, a $500 million beast, cut through the water with quiet purpose. On board, the crew moved with practiced efficiency, preparing for another day in a long, brutal war. Their mission: launch a volley of Kaliber cruise missiles destined for targets deep within Ukrainian territory. Below deck, missile technicians made final preparations, while on the bridge, the captain stared at the horizon. The ship was a fortress at sea, bristling with cannons and electronic countermeasures designed to project force. The crew felt invulnerable, confident in their superior technology and firepower. But this morning was different. A subtle tension hung in the air. Far away, unseen eyes were watching. Drone operators hidden in bunkers prepared for a different kind of battle. Armed with ingenuity and homemade sea drones, they were about to rewrite the rules of engagement. The corvette adjusted its course for the missile launch, unaware of the storm gathering over the horizon. A storm made not of wind and waves, but of fiberglass, explosives, and relentless determination. The hunt had already begun. The first sign of trouble was a series of frantic blips on a secondary radar screen. Too small to be ships, too low to be aircraft, the blips moved with unnatural speed and purpose. The watch officer, feeling a knot of ice in his stomach, grabbed the intercom with urgency. Alarm klaxons shattered the morning's calm. The hunt was on. On the drone operators' screens, the corvette grew larger with each passing second. Each drone was a modified jet ski packed with explosives, piloted from hundreds of miles away. The operators navigated the small craft through choppy waves, a swarm closing in on a steel behemoth. The corvette's crew scrambled to battle stations as automated defense systems roared to life. Heavy machine guns began to swivel and search for targets, spitting tracers into the dawn sky. The captain yelled orders, trying to coordinate a defense against an enemy he couldn't see. The drones were too low, their radar signature too faint. It was like trying to shoot ghosts. The first drones were sacrificed to test the warship's defenses, drawing the gun's attention. As bullets tore the small drone apart, others pressed their attack from different angles. The operators orchestrated a complex ballet of death from a remote location. For the sailors on the corvette, it was a fight for their lives. As the physical battle raged, an invisible war was fought in the electromagnetic spectrum. The corvette's crew activated electronic warfare suites to jam the drone's communication links. For a few moments, several drone video feeds flickered and died. But the Ukrainian operators, hackers and engineers, had built redundancies into their systems. They quickly switched to backup frequencies, some drones even programmed with autonomy. The operators fought back, rapidly changing transmission patterns to outmaneuver Russian jammers. On the corvette, disbelief set in as drones reappeared on screens. The Ukrainians adapted in real time, their tactics fluid and unpredictable. The chaos intensified, near misses became common, and the psychological toll was immense. The enemy was relentless, seemingly endless, and the feeling of invulnerability evaporated. A cold, creeping dread replaced it. The Russian corvette was a fortress, its strength in steel and guns, but the Ukrainian sea drones, paragons of asymmetric warfare, exploited its vulnerabilities. The corvette's radar was a beacon for the drones, and its defensive cannons struggled to target them. The ship was built for conventional battles, not a swarm of tiny explosive boats. The Ukrainian tactics used a multi-vector approach, overwhelming the ship's defenses. By sending more drones than the guns could handle, they guaranteed some would get through. It was a battle of cost and complexity, a single drone costing a fraction of a defensive missile. The Ukrainians could afford to lose dozens of drones if it meant landing critical hits. The corvette's individual strength became a systemic weakness. The drone operators shifted strategy, aiming to blind the corvette. Several drones were designated as hunters, targeting the ship's vital sensor and communication arrays. Without them, the warship would be a deaf and blind giant. The operators skillfully guided these hunter drones through defensive fire. One drone slipped past the barrage, heading for the rotating radar dish. The screen dissolved into static as the drone slammed into the radar array, detonating with a roar. The main radar screen on the bridge went dead, and the automated guns fell silent. The ship was now partially blind, relying on optical sights and manual targeting. Panic set in as another drone targeted the ship's primary communications antenna. The blast severed the corvette's main link to Fleet Command, leaving it deaf. The Predator was cornered, the remaining drones facing a less formidable defense. The operators pressed their advantage with ruthless efficiency. The psychological impact on the Russian crew was devastating. Their technological superiority stripped away, they were isolated and unable to call for help. The vast sea, once their domain, now felt like a trap. The small, dark shapes on the water were no longer just a nuisance, they were executioners. The hunter had become the hunted. With the corvette's defenses crippled, the final phase of the attack began. The remaining drones, the killers, had a clear path to their target. The operators coordinated their final assault, aiming for the engine room and missile bays. A successful hit on either would be catastrophic. The first killer drone struck the corvette amidships, tearing a jagged hole in the hull. Black smoke poured from the gash, and the ship listed heavily to port. On the bridge, alarms screamed as damage control teams scrambled. But it was too late. The ship was mortally wounded. Moments later, a second drone slammed into the stern, crippling propulsion and steering. The mighty warship was now dead in the water, drifting helplessly. The crew, focused on survival, began to abandon ship. From their distant bunker, the drone operators watched the destruction unfold. They had taken a $500 million instrument of war and destroyed it with modified jet skis. The battle was over, the silence in the command bunker profound. The chaos on the Black Sea was a testament to their ingenuity. The sun cast its light on a scene of devastation. The Russian corvette was a wreck, a floating tomb. The order to abandon ship was given, but evacuation was impossible. Damage control teams fought a losing battle against fires and flooding. The ship, listing at an impossible angle, groaned under the strain. Tugs and rescue vessels were dispatched, but they were hours away. The surviving crew huddled on the deck, watching their ship consumed by fire and water. The psychological shock was profound. They had been defeated by a weapon they never understood. When rescue vessels arrived, they found a scene of utter carnage. The warship, designed to project power, was now a helpless wreck. It was towed back to port, a humiliating procession. The ship was beyond repair, a monument to a stunning defeat. Its presence in the port was a constant reminder of vulnerability. The sea had claimed its victory. The sinking of the corvette sent shockwaves through the world's navies. It was a paradigm shift, proving a new era had dawned. Cheap, disposable technology could challenge and defeat conventional military might. The DIY drones demonstrated that the barrier to entry for naval warfare had been dramatically lowered. The strategic implications were immense, altering the balance of power in the Black Sea. Improvisation and technological adaptability triumphed over rigid doctrine. Military planners took notice, reassessing ship designs and defensive systems. The future of naval conflict would be fought in the digital realm as much as on the water. The age of the unmanned naval vessel had arrived. The legacy of that morning is written in the waters of the Black Sea. It is a story of ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds, a testament to the idea that cleverness can be more powerful than steel. The sunken corvette is a symbol of a new reality in conflict. Far from the battlefield, drone operators continue their work, refining technology and tactics. They know the next battle is always just over the horizon.